Welcome to Playful Podcast, your guide into the underground scene where we discover topics on kink and electronic music every week. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on our next episode. We are here today with KitKat founder, the king of kink himself, Simon Thaur. In our conversation, we talk about who Simon was when growing up and, as a shy person, how can one be sexually brave? We also talk about how and why KitKat was founded and some about his unconventional porn films. I am Amanda and this is Playful Podcast. So for everyone who is curious to know more about Simon, we also have done an interview with him in the magazine that is available online. So read that to get a little backside stories. But to jump in, like if you would describe yourself with 3 words, what would they be?
I would call myself a very focused person. I have hopefully a multi-dimensional world in my brain, so I have many different interests. So, most of the things people don't even know what I do in my private space. But most people know me only from the club or from my movies and things like that. But I have also a lot of intellectual interests and study a lot. And I write on a book and wrote already 3,000 pages about a proof of
astrology, right?
How the stars. I'm an astrologer since 40 years, so my interest is to prove in a scientific way how the planets are able to transfer the energies onto our actually endocrine system, which again respond on this kind of electromechanical wavelengths
and also besides all your interest and the part of you that is like very focused within what you do, your friend also said you're a bit of a dictator.
From the scene, from the simple side, it might be true in the way that I am the holder of a quality. A holder of a quality means that I am some kind of positive dictator. Maybe somebody like, I don't know, he's my task to keep up with this certain quality, and therefore I don't. It's also my task to look for it that this quality will not be altered. So I would call it myself in a way that I myself I'm enough. If my qualities, which I agree with, so we are in the game, and this is the basic again to be open for other things, which because I am stable, I can be tolerant to other things, and I can allow them to play into my world without that the basic idea gets altered.
And you're driven by your visions very much, right? Like you have a vision and then you create the road that leads to realizing that vision.
Yes, yeah.
Because KitKat has been founded in what year? How long time has it?
94.
94.
So it's 28 years around that.
That is a long time. 94. And you arrived in Berlin 70.
No, I was in Berlin also for 3 years between 1978 and 81 or 82.
82. Yeah. So between 82 and 94, what did you do in Berlin then?
As I started, I went away from Austria. I wanted to become a jazz rock drummer. And, my interest was very much like in creating my own group. And then after I left then actually Berlin, I had to leave Germany because Austria was not in the European Union at the time. So I didn't do anything, nothing criminal or whatever. But I still was not really in bureaucratic way. So I was not allowed to for 3 years to go back to Germany. So I had my whole world in Berlin. So okay. Then I was I went to Italy, and then I went to Israel, and then I just went on and on, and I was 7 times in India. So altogether, it was 14 years traveling. And in this time, I invented my own astrology system, because we were talking before about astrology, and then I thought, okay, I should stop traveling and stay on one place in order to publish this system with my books. I wrote 5 books at the time, and then as I came back, the first 1.5 years I was in Munich, but Munich was not really my place. It was too conservative and too orthodox. So I thought I have to go back to Berlin, because Berlin was also before the best place I have actually been in Europe.
Why?
I don't know, it was just more free than other places. I was also 2 years in London, or 1 year in Athens, or things like that, or in Italy. But all were nice places, but it was not this kind of freedom and also possibility to go out. Like it's also in the 70s, Berlin, for example, was open the whole night and did not close at 1 o'clock like other cities. And so it was also a lucky place for me. And I was always all my ideas were there. And
this episode is brought to you by Lustery.com. For you people out there who are watching porn and are interested in couples filming themselves, we highly recommend Lustery. Lustery is a sex-celebrating platform that is creator-centered, which means that all content is filmed by real-life couples and edited by Lustery's experienced editing and post-production team. But at Lustery, 100% of the content is ethically produced, with consent from all parties. And the couples are fairly paid, and it's not based on clicks. What I like about Lustery is watching the couples lust for each other and knowing that they enjoy filming themselves. It's no script, no acting, no one telling them what to do, but simply them feeling it on camera. It's basically as genuine as it gets. When I stumbled upon Lustery, I still lived in Sweden and had never met any people behind the platform, but was simply just intrigued by it, and I don't actually even remember how I found it. Today, on the other hand, I have met the founder and many of the couples, and I can honestly say that I love the community behind it. They are passionate about doing things better, more real, and to give people a better sex life by introducing new and fun ways of having sex through other couples' ways of enjoying it. They care for real connections and intimacy, and it's a space where one can explore sex without censorships. The content you find on Lustery is unique, and there are hundreds of videos to dwell in, either alone or together with your partner or partners, and they are all available on Lustery.com, where new content is uploaded about every day in various categories and length and formats. So if I were you, I would take the day off this maybe rainy day and try out Lustery by myself or together with a partner, and just make this day more colorful and amazing. So give yourself a little gift and go to Lustery.com. And by the way, for the whole of October, Lustery runs a kink film special with couples exploring old and new fetishes together, from collars to cages, wax play to spanking, and much more. These kink videos releases will sure leave a mark, so go ahead and go to Lustery.com/playfulmagazine to get 20% off your subscription and have an amazing sex life. So it was already very liberated back in the 80s, 90s, Berlin. Liberated like with hours and parties and...
Yeah, this was already in the 70s, like 10 years before, it went in this direction. And also probably because Berlin was also interesting because many people flew the military elements from in West Germany. So all the young people came to Berlin because they were free from the military in Berlin, and so therefore it was a young city. So it was cheap, it was young, it was alternative. I was a hippie, and so I liked it.
Yeah. Okay, it's interesting that you say that you were a hippie, because you feel like a hippie, but you also have the kind of rock star vibe.
Yeah, but rock stars were also hippies.
Yeah, maybe more so punks.
Yeah, the punk side I didn't reach anymore, so I was more before. Let's just say if the punk people came, I was already in India and all these things. So and I was already making party in Goas and this. Also, the Goa parties, they were more on the hippie side and less on the punk side. And I would say the warehouse parties in Europe, they were more on the punk side. So there were two cultural basements almost, which came then together in the techno elements.
And today, KitKat is super famous.
Yeah.
Like the lines are now so long, like on Saturdays.
1 kilometer, so
1 kilometer exactly.
No, I don't know, maybe something.
Yeah, I think like it's really, or like it's definitely really, really long queues. But in the beginning, when you founded KitKat, you have mentioned before that you wanted a place where people could be free and be naked and have sex in public, and something that you also enjoyed a lot to discover when you were traveling around and you met all various people with similar interests.
When I was traveling around, I always had lots of, because I'm a thinker and I'm more on the psychological side in my own being, let's say, I reflected about the problems I had with my girlfriend and my relationships. So there were always some kind of different elements. Most people or most women, they were too much grasping on me.
Yeah, because possessive.
And
like.
I remember with 26, I was thinking about, okay, you have a relationship and what do you seek in, what is a person, everybody now, what is a person seeking in a relationship? Of course, seeking that there is trust, that the other person knows you, but there is also the problematic if the relationship is not really open, so it will get
suffocating.
Yeah, because you cannot open the window anymore. You cannot, and if you would be alone and a phase is over, you would just go on outside and meet the next element, and so you are developing in this way. So the problem is if you meet somebody new, and even if there's a lot of emotion and all these kind of things, the relation, after a while, you know each other that well that it's not possible to learn anymore from each other. Huh? So if the people would be open and in trust with each other, they could go together and conquer the world. Yeah? But mostly it's the other way around, so that as soon as you look after something new, that the other person is afraid that you will run away quickly or something like that. And so all these kind of jealous elements and so might come into the game. And I was completely nerved from this. So with 28, I started then a kind of free love community. It was a travel community.
Free love community.
I wanted to change the whole condition. Yeah, I didn't want this kind of usual partner relationship anymore. And yeah, we just fucked around a lot actually. But we also tried to line out onto different possibilities and.
Were you with Kirsten then? Was she in the community? It was before.
So,
how many people were in the community?
Oh, it was just a little group. It always changed from, of course, it was never less than 3, but it was also never more than 10. So it was like, but we went even until Japan, I think. So we were like over the world, and so the people changed sometimes. A few people were all the time there, and so it was an adventurous time. It did not work out as it was in my idealistic attention.
Why?
From my kind of viewpoint, it was that because such an idealistic structure is still a mental structure. Yeah? The people are they have also their emotions and their reactions, and this is even so we try to get away these reactions. It's not possible. For example, as as the inventor of this project, of course, I was the alpha being, let's just say it in comma. Then the other men which were inside, okay, they were then the women themselves. They did not accept the equality. So they choose who is the alpha, who is the beta, who is the. And some people which were inside, did not have this stable personality, they were always on the end side. But then I remember I had my best friend at the time. He was with me 2.5 years the whole time. We had a lot of funny exchanges, let's just say. That in these years, I think I never went to bed with a woman alone. We were always minimum 3 people, let's just say. Yeah, so it was a funny element. But after a while, the women started to make politics in a way. So if they want something, if I would not give them the attention, they would go to the other guy and give him the attention, and the guy wouldn't even get the point what she's doing with him. Yeah? I found myself in some kind of strange struggling elements in a different way than a normal relationship. Yeah?
You still had problems.
Huh?
They took new forms.
Yeah, it was like a new kind of problem, which was not in one's head before. Yeah. So after a while, I found it also too narrow. Yeah, so like to hang around all the time with 10 people, you don't do anything anymore alone is also difficult. So, okay, after that, I thought, okay, I don't want to have a normal relationship. But also don't want to have this kind of community. Yeah. All these experiences together led to an idea like the KitKat Club as well, because there you have, you can meet all these people again. Yeah, it's like I had with many people I am friends, also sexual friends since years. Yeah, so the same time, it's not that narrow that you need them at home or something like this, and so it's somewhere in between. Yeah, it's not. It's a stable element where many friends meet. There are a lot of people which get married there as well, or whatever. But still, there's something. There's one dimension more. Let's just say. Yeah, so which is not. And before you had just the possibility either where you. Let's just say you meet a new person in the discotheque, then you go with this person home. It might be a one-night stand, or you stay with this person together. Yeah, there was only these two possibilities. Yeah. So, and like that, it's you have a longer. So.
This episode is brought to you by The Code, which makes me super excited as I'm a big fan of them and what they do. I bet you who are joining me in this interview and listening to Playful Podcast is just like I am excited about Berlin's club scene. Maybe you even live in Berlin, and if so, you know that part of the fun is getting dressed up and ready for the evening. At some clubs, it's even a necessity, and in my case, it always creates a tingling feeling in my body whenever I'm getting ready for a club and put that extra love to what I wear. This is why I'm so excited to tell you about The Code, which is so much more than a shop. I would say it's almost like a force. Not only do they work with so many independent local designers who are already part of the scene, but they genuinely love club culture, kink parties and techno. They have a beautiful space that's located just in front of KitKat. Convenient, right? The Code was launched from the Berlin fetish and club scene. And this is why they are authentically shining a light on independent designers and artists that are creating the aesthetics of the Berlin underground. Whether you're going to KitKat Berghain or a private party, or even want to surprise your partner, The Code is the space where individuals can explore and embrace their own kink, sensuality and hedonism. Except the most fabulous and sexy clothes, The Code also offers various jewelry and sex-related products. The Code is a sex-positive space where anyone can feel comfortable stepping out of the norm, with respect, support and without judgment. So whether you're new to the fetish and club scene or if you've been in the game for long, The Code is the perfect place for you before you go out in Berlin. Thankfully, for you who don't live in Berlin, you can look at their website and on their social media, like Instagram, to find inspiration and even order pieces. And you'll get an immediate feel that this is something else. This is the place, almost like a community for people who are passionate about club culture, fetish wear, and techno, and you are invited in. And one thing that I really love about them, besides their support for local designers, is that they really see you when you're entering the store. They take such good care of you inside there, and I promise you, you're gonna feel like a star. Therefore, if you're living in Berlin, celebrate the weekend a little early and go to their store on Köpenickstrasse in front of KitKat to delve in their amazing energy and get to look at and even try out some beautiful and handmade pieces. You're gonna have an amazing time, I promise you that. Thank you, the code. But with the group you were with, were you seeing them, like, were they also exploring with their sexuality, or you outside or outdoors, or in public places?
Because I was always a little bit crazy in my head, in my sexual way. I had different developments, and then after the community, I got a kick out of the idea that to do sex in the public, just to try it out. How far can you go if you get until people come and stop you, and so I made already a lot of private experiences. I would go with my girlfriend. She only in
stockings. Stockings.
Yeah, stockings or the tights. So just go for it. Let's say she's only in tights, and okay, nobody said anything. So they were probably overwhelmed in their. They didn't know what to do anything, because we just behave completely normal. And there were also a lot of people which liked it.
Like see-through pants. Huh? Were they see-through, so you could see?
Yeah, you could see through everything.
You could see her vagina.
We went to. I remember there was a discotheque around the corner, which was this old Osho discotheque. But there were also Turkish people inside and all these kinds, and so they made a plenum if they shall allow this now or not, so because they were afraid that there might be problems with foreign people or something like this. And but I remember there were two men. They were against the idea, and there were three women, and one of the women I knew from India, by chance. So they solidarized with us, and in this plenum they even took out a shirt.
In solidarity?
To make clear that they want that this happen. It was also short time before KitKat Club, just to say, So and then with the club there anyway, it was my playing field. I just want to have a lot of interesting adventures, and then the possibility also to earn money with these ideas was also, of course, in space. And so it was a lucky element to get it all together in one time. You do this what you anyway do, and you even earn your money with that, and you don't have to spend time to how to survive or something like this.
But did you have a big community around you when you lived in Berlin before you started the club already? Like, did you have a lot of friends and a big community?
You mean my private community?
Yeah, exactly. Before you started the club, did you have that?
I was always a strange mixture of loner and able to communicate very simple and easy. So it wasn't a fixed community anymore, like my community. But of course, I was young and beautiful. Of course, I met a lot of people also.
And people
got them in my club, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And then it took like a couple of years until the club started to roll by itself. Or it wasn't like an overnight success with KitKat Club, but it was. I remember you telling me that you and Kirsten were handing out flyers in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was a Tuesday club, middle of the week.
Yeah. So in the beginning, the very first party was successful for the club where we did this party inside, but because it was very unregular, also on Tuesday, which is not the day you want to go out actually, so it went down until the seventh party was around only 25 people anymore, and then I thought, okay, it was one of my ideas which did not work out. And then we changed to Wednesday because there was a lesbian party which were before on Wednesday, and they wanted to change with us to Tuesday because they got competition from another lesbian party. So at the same time, for me, Wednesday was a much better day, and so there was another funny incident. At the time, I told myself, with 33, I must be able to establish one thing, doesn't matter what it was. And
you wanted to create something big.
Yeah, whatever it is. Because before I was always this 14 years on the way.
A drifter.
So there was not really a grounded element. And I swindled almost a little bit because this was 1 week before my 34th birthday, and so I thought this Tuesday party with the 25 people is for the last thing. So the week was this year was over, and in 1 week I will be 34. I didn't reach my goal, and
were you worried then?
Huh?
You were worried?
No, not worried. I just thought, okay, so it's whatever. And in this week, there was this change to Wednesday, and then I thought, okay, now I give everything what I have, and I invited all kind of people. If I would have met you on the street, I would have just invited you. If I saw somebody, doesn't matter if man or woman,
that looked cool.
So which can imagine that they will be fine for my party. So I invited them. They didn't have to pay entry. I remember I earned 200 mark, 100 mark for me myself, and 100 mark for the DJ, which is more or less nothing. And then the first Wednesday party was full, and it had a certain quality. I wanted to have it. Then I decided to invite these people again, because for me it was clear that the next time they will come, a few people will pay and will come back. Other people might not come back, and so it will be less people than I had in this particular night. And so, I invited them to have safety for this quality and quantity I wanted to have, and I thought that if I can keep these things together, then other people, they will, like a snowball effect. People will talk about it, and the rest of the people which feel it completely and bring all the money in order that you cannot spend it too many times for free. So otherwise, because you have to give out money. You have to pay the DJ, you have to pay this and that, and so. And so like this it was, and then it was even so that then then I was almost in love with this old place, with the locality.
The old location, the old location, because that's
not
where
the very first one, which was a very small place, only 200 square meters, but it was very, I don't know, I liked the atmosphere in this place, and so I thought, okay, in order to earn really some kind of money and not just to be on a 0-0 level, so I need to have my own complete space, my own locality. And then I was looking like places similar to this place. I didn't find anything. So, and then the next lucky moment came that the police closed down this place. And they closed it because these people lost their concession. So the police came with 40 people in my party. I was the first party on Wednesday. It didn't come to our party, actually, but it just wanted to come to the first party, which was open in a week. So in order to close this place, so the police came in, all these naked people, they were completely, they didn't know what to think about it. I remember my girlfriend, she was putting down the pictures completely naked, and so we made a certain impression on the police. They usually were used a reaction that people throw beer bottles or something like that, and because it was that civilized and we helped them, they were quite impressed of us as a whole and as personalities as well. So, Now, in meantime, this owners from this locality didn't get back their concession. Yeah? So they had to they were not allowed to enter their own place anymore, and therefore they sold us this place for a cheap price because they want to go out of the contract of paying the rent and things like that, because they cannot enter their own place anymore, so they were not able to do very much anymore. Yeah? So then we got this place, and we had to get for ourselves a new concession. Yeah? And so we went to this concession office, and the first person I met there was the police commissario. Was the guy who made this razzia in our thing. And because he knew us from this razzia, of course, so he told us, okay, that there is actually no law for that, what we want to do. In the 90s, now it's a fun if you hear something like this, but in the 90s it was almost like, we were almost like a law from the prostitutes thing from 1915 was there. Yeah, they didn't get the point that people make sex not for a prostitute reason or something like that. Yeah, so
in public and
this was completely new for all these people. And then he said, okay, I advocate this project more or less. So in Kreuzberg, you will not have any kind of problems and things like that. And and after a while, it got anyway well known, and also the fetish scene was growing more, and people got aware of this, and now it's not so much a problem anymore. I remember 2001, there was still a new bureaucratic problem, so we changed to another place in Tempelhof, and there was never any kind of nightclub there before. Schöneberg and Tempelhof melted together, like in one district, and so because they again said, okay, there is this law from 1915, and it's like this, that if people go into the club, they can go from the club into a tent, there they can make sex, then they have to come out from the tent to the street, not back to the club, and then they have to enter again the club. And I said, what is going on in these people? And then I was trying to discuss what is with all the homosexual people in Schöneberg. Yeah? They have dark rooms, they have things, and that was almost a mistake, because at the time this was all more or less accepted, but not real. Yeah? So the homosexual scene was afraid that with our problematic they get the wrong focus on the thing. But at the time there was also, we had a homosexual major in Berlin, and so it turned out all in this direction. But we made a big parade on the Kudamm, Kurfürstendamm, where 120,000 people came, and there was we wanted to assert that this law will be done away. Yes? So, and after that, this also.
Were the gay people fighting together with you to create? Were they also at your party?
No, the gay people were almost pissed off of us.
Okay, you were going to ruin.
Because they were afraid that it might make problems for them too.
Okay. There was not so much gay people who went to KitKat?
No, there were also gay people who went to KitKat from beginning onwards as well. So, but the gay people had still their own scene, and the scene with the dark rooms, they didn't care about the gay people which come to KitKat, they cared about their own localities with dark rooms, so where maybe the wrong attention will then make them some kind of problems also. But anything went fine, and I think that it was a change of cultural acceptance anyway at the time.
And did you, like, on the posters and when you were promoting your club, were you also talking about dress codes, or like, how did you promote it? Did you say like it's a sex club? How did you promote it on the flyers and everything?
I promoted it with the proper, there was always comic pictures about naked anything, whatever, different. So people got the point, I think. in the beginning, the party line was called Sex, Trance, Bizarre. So it's also clear.
Sex, trance.
The trance was more the music in the beginning.
Trance,
And the word sex is inside, the word bizarre was inside. Until the new KitKat Club, there's a Sex, Trance, Bizarre party in the KitKat Club. And also the snowball effect, the people talking, so everybody knew about us already. So,
you have also been getting a lot of attention for the pornos.
So 1998 I started then with porn, so I wanted to have a new project. So
because you have a lot of projects.
Yeah.
And that's also something that is very impressive, that you keep focus on each of your projects.
My main element was always, since I'm a creative person and since I am completely fine with the erotic world as an isolated world, as I say, it was, I was interested in pornography myself personally also all the time. So I was analyzing other porn movies at the time. I was getting annoyed why is this camera viewpoint that stupid and why is this thing that boring, and so in the 90s there were also a lot of different sexual techniques coming up in porn, and also porn from foreign countries, and so it was so I got definitely influenced from that as well, and then I just wanted to create it in my own way, and because especially in the beginning time, all the people I was playing with, they were all my friends. I knew all them already from the club and so. And so I overcame quite quickly all these usual borders. So and threw out a complete there were basically no really taboos in my movies. So but at the same time there were a lot of dialogues, a lot of storylines. So it's so my whole porn work was also completely different from all the other porns, which similar to the club, which is just different to a normal techno club, but also different to a swinger club or whatever there would be.
Yeah. And you were also like getting attention for that because you were doing some unconventional things even within the porn.
I was totally unconventional element, so I was almost on the same line than the mainstream leaders, let's just say. And it was more like this. If a videotheque would have some money for buying new DVDs or whatever, so they would have taken the usual porn leaders, and then they take a niche product, and and I was always the number one in the niche product. Therefore, I sold the same than the mainstream people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you were then also filming. I remember you saying in the last interview that you were filming in Berlin, in the streets of Berlin, and that the police were not really caring. They were like, it's fine.
I started also some kind of music videos for my own music, and I did also many things like this on the street. So I even I made one movie even in the youth station, in the metro, in front of all the people. So we didn't know what will happen. It was the same then. If everybody would have reacted in a stopping way, like you stupid, like fuck off or something like, then I would not have gone very far. But because the reaction of the people on the street, they were quite affirmative. So they, I remember there was an old woman, 60 years old. She ran after us for 1 hour, and she was saying all the time how beautiful this is, and so I tried even to convince to get naked as well in front of the camera, but she didn't.
She didn't want to.
So she didn't want to.
That's funny. Like, did you ever
I can be quite spontaneous
if
the proper moment is there. Yeah, so the humor overtakes me, and there was also on the street movie there were also a lot of police. Like every second time the police came, and in the very beginning, I was quite afraid of this, and after the third or fourth time this happened, so I realized, okay, for the police, we are the most interesting
target.
called to catch somebody, let's just say, and since everybody is a human being, so and I remember I had also one interview with a policeman on the porn, so not the interview with him himself, but you can see in the film, okay, the police comes, okay, here's police, please give me your passport, then they stop, and then they took us back to a back court somehow, and in the beginning they were quite macho-like, so I was almost thinking, until now the police was really nice, and now they are getting almost aggressive. So the girls were standing there with the dildo in the backside and 2 kilograms of chains on the pussy and things like that, and then I saw the police were looking at them, and then he asked them, doesn't it hurt? And then they said, no, it does not hurt. So and then the policeman said, okay, I can say it now. It's like I'm actually also into BDSM and things like that. And then I realized, okay, it was just surface things there. Everything is okay. And then I convinced him to let me go on the streets. So it's, and then then the movie goes on, and also so we are again on the streets, and for 10 minutes we're just talking about the police and how nice they were and things like that. And so we just put everything in one thing together. Yeah.
That sounds like a legendary film.
What?
It sounds legendary.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think that other people did such a thing. So,
But when choosing your actors for the film, how, because you said before that you had your friends, you were shooting films with your friends. Yeah, you could be in the film, or like your friends were there, or...
Let's say the first 2 years I filmed only with friends, and then I came to a kind of moralic problem, because if I went to the club and I met somebody, I met a new girl, I was from beginning on projecting that she could play this and she could play that, and I just saw that it disturbs the authentic communication, because I would like to get her in my movie, and then I stopped this. So I didn't communicate about my porn movies anymore with somebody in the club, but because I was already successful, other people came, and so they filled this up. But I was just thinking, no, it's just then I cannot meet anybody anymore normal, because I always okay, she could play the hospital sister or whatever. So just because she had this type, So and this was not it was difficult.
Yeah, but you also said, because you were doing some, as we talked about before, even within the sex community, it was unconventional. So people were like, you were discovering scat and all these kind of things. And in interviews, you found, or I remember you telling me that you found out somehow that within the porn community, people said, like, if you play in Thaur's movie, you cannot...
So I remember I had because I was quite successful, and I was this unconventional, and there were disgusting elements in the movie, and everything which were allowed in Germany, there was inside. So they wanted... okay, if there's a new girl coming and this is making a 0815 scene, like, oh, I'm so... innocent, so it's not possible that they can play innocent if they were in my movie before. So let's just say, this was one of the reasons. And the other thing was that all the normal porn business people, they wanted to be clean. They wanted the image of the porn industry almost to be clean. Then they make the Venus messe once a year, and they were quite happy to be able to do this kind of thing in this place, and for me, I like the dirty elements. So therefore, I don't want to be that clean from the image. I don't care about this. So I think that somebody intelligent can can make the distinction why somebody doing this. I only want to reach intelligent people and not just stupid idiots. So
Would you say that your films have changed since back then until, because you are always evolving, and it feels like you always want to go forward with anything you create.
Definitely. Yeah.
So has it evolved? Has it changed a lot since 90s? What you create today, the films you create today, I mean, have they changed a lot since the 90s?
After 10 years of porn, I stopped my outputs. I did not go further for different reasons. One of the reasons was also that one of the guys of my porn crew died on cancer. So I had a little trauma, let's say. It made me think, okay, what is happening here? And so before I was this king in this hedonist world, say, and now I thought to myself, okay, now I have to confront sicknesses and that and things like that. And then after a while, it's okay, this will not come so much anymore. I started to do again films, and in meantime, I made lots of songs in my music studio, which is completely private. It's not played in the club or something like this. I've had more than 700 songs, and nobody knows. And I started this music, these videos, which also became quite quickly a bit pornographical. So because it's just my direction. And since Corona time, because there was almost like a hole in the whole thing. There was no money anymore. There was no difficult time. So I thought maybe I should go back to because since I was already famous as a porn producer, so I started to produce porns again. So since 2 years, I produce porns again. So,
you needed a break from porn. And
I had a break with the porn, but the KitKat was all the time.
Did you ever feel like
I also went there every week and things like that.
You never got bored of it?
Actually not. No. Yeah, of course. If you're there every time, there were also evenings. Especially in the times where I was especially deeply thinking. Sometimes I stand down in the club and I'm just involved in some kind of thematic, and people from the outside might think, okay, Thaur is again having his aggressive face, but I was just concentrated. Yeah, so I think, I'm. If somebody wants something from me, can just come to me anyway. But for sure, there were also phases where I was more in my inside, even if I was in a club.
Some people also say that it was better before, or that things are changing?
Yeah, everybody which comes new is overwhelmed. Yeah, if somebody came in the 90s, he just think, in the 90s it was really. If he comes in the Bessemer Straße time, so he was always talking about the Bessemer Straße, how it was the holy hall and things like this. As we came to this place where we are now, 15 years ago already, so that's 2007. The change, the people didn't like the change. Yeah, so they were completely influenced from the locality of the Bessemer Straße, and it took almost a few years. We had to build. You have to change everything inside, so that, and then. Then I almost, there was almost one point I thought, okay, can be the fetish scene and the KitKat and all, it goes slowly down. And then after we changed everything from 1 week to the other, it doubled again the people. And then I saw, okay, I wouldn't have thought that these things of changes will be that important that and now it's even more than ever before.
But do you think it was better before, or how?
No, I think it's, for me it was always the same. For me personally, if you come there the first time, the impression is always these pictures keep in your mind, and then you compare them. Maybe after a while you get used to it and you say, I don't have the flash from the beginning time. So I would say completely, in the 19th, I myself was very present in my actions. Everybody could come to me and be part of it or things like that. But it was also a small place. It was 200 square meters. Yeah, so it's now it's incredible big. I think from my personal viewpoint, people have even more sex than before, but it's not that centered anymore. Like before, you could just see in the dancing floor, somebody did this and that, and now they go in the corners or where they have place because it's so full that you would just can't run over if you do something wherever. So yeah, so. But after, so let's say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, so it's not every day is the same, but I think it's a lot of people get the possibility to work that out. So
I think it's very centered.
So I would not say that it went back. It's just more people. So and and one has to, if you really seek that, what you will find it. So
there's a lot of things going on for sure there.
Of course, if you're just on the dance floor, then this, you might not have this impression. But as soon as you go a little bit outside and in some corners, you will then find different things.
Now we have come to the part of the podcast where, if you're a Patreon, you'll get to hear Simon Thaur's masterclass on how to find hookups and flirts. We also talk about his entrepreneurial advices and some more. You don't want to miss this. To dwell in these goodies, go to patreon.com/playfulmagazine and have a listen.
It's either this or it's that. This is this or that.
Vacation or work?
Vacation or work? Work. But I'm. The thing is a different thing if you work for somebody else or if you realize your own dream. Yeah, it's much more interesting. Vacation is just it can be also nice. Yeah, of course, sometimes a vacation, but it's superficial against the work. The work goes in the depths, and the vacation is just okay. I don't need to concentrate in your middle. If it's your work and you work out something of you, it's deeper.
Yeah. To watch or being watched?
You ask me if I'm more a watcher or being watched. I am being watched, of course, but I am more a watcher.
Schnitzel or currywurst?
Schnitzel or what?
Currywurst?
What is the second?
Isn't it currywurst?
Currywurst, definitely schnitzel.
Yeah. Mainstream or unconventional?
Do you know the answer yourself?
So easy. Stupid question. No, but children or animals?
Then I prefer the animals. I have nothing against children, but this is not really my world. I could not. Maybe I'm a child enough myself in order to. I would have too much responsibility if I would have a child, and therefore it was never my purpose because it doesn't get across with my other world. Yeah, so
a thinker or a doer?
Both. You should think and do, and while doing, you should think.
Meditation or tarot cards?
Meditation or tarot cards? Then meditation in the sense of focusing.
Yeah.
If you just think on nothing, it's might be also not be the answer, but the tarot cards, this is just projection and interpretation. So, even so, it might be interesting and funny. I was 2 years, as I lived in Rome, I was 2 years together with 2 professional tarot card readers, which were on Piazza Navona and giving people their tips and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So therefore, I have too much insight in this world.
Okay, museum or movies?
What?
Museum or movies?
Movie.
Yeah. Female friends or male friends?
Friends are friends. Of course, I'm happy with female friends, but I have also absolutely no problem with male friends. I want I need a frequency where I can communicate with, so it doesn't. Of course, with females you might have one dimension more, but if the frequency is not here, also the female doesn't really impress me then.
To spank or being spanked?
Then I spank.
That was the final question. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Simon.
sure,
It was really,
okay.
really nice.
Yeah, of course.